going on, YouTube? Culturedog Sam Hatch back with part 2 of my newest pickups video. Pickups of Laserdisc, that is. And so I already showed you in the initial video a good chunk of the recent lot I picked up from just about a half an hour away from my house. So that was a really fortuitous find. And I just kind of struck while the iron was hot, and it worked out. Hopefully the guy who hooked me up with these will eventually tire of his other Laserdiscs and players and stuff like that. His wife seemed pretty keen on getting them out of the house, so I will be more than happy to oblige and help him out. But in the meantime, I was stuck with his leftovers and unwanted discs, etc. So let's dig in. Oh yeah, this I saw in the theaters and I really did enjoy it. My female roommates, however, were much smitten with Brad Pitt's long hair at the time. But Edward Zwick's Legends of the Fall. It is a Columbia release, so then you know what that means. DADC USA pressed it, and it is clean. No rat. So, hooray? Question mark? I guess I'll have to watch it again, see if it is as bleh as I remembered it was. Really great condition, though. Likewise, this is in pretty nice condition, too. A flick I'd always meant to check out in the 90s, but never did. Part of the reason I got back into collecting Laserdiscs was to kind of do like this fantasy wish fulfillment thing, where if I had been able to go into a Tower Records back in the day and just blow like $50,000 and go home with every LD of every movie that I wanted to check out, I can make that happen now for next to nothing. So I love commons. I love commons of like big product that somehow I missed out. It's an amazing time machine to go back and see these like kind of relatively high profile Hollywood films that just slid under my radar. Obviously I knew about them, but I just never bothered to watch them on cable. And then their time has come and gone, and now I get to watch them again in widescreen glory. And this is a DADC USA pressing from Warner Brothers. Copycat. And the first two sides are actually clean, and the third one has some mild speckling. So, maybe another disc or two and I'll be able to have a completely clean set. But it's totally watchable. So I was actually surprised. I'm telling you, I love getting DADC USA pressings in like cheap lots, because it's like a little treasure hunt. You're looking for that elusive, super clean pressing of Air Force One or something, which, I don't know if it exists, but I've gotten clean pressings of horrible routers like Eraser, etc., so I know it's possible. Also, on the router list, that Copycat 2 is like, it's got the skull and crossbones on LDDB for the route list. It says, avoid at all costs, but hey, looks fine. Great looking transfer too. Same with this one. Really, really bright and colorful. Penny Marshall's A League of Their Own. Someday I want to get the blue colored version, which has special features, etc. This one also a Notorious router, totally clean all the way through. All three sides look amazing, and so win. This is a flick I had been meaning to get forever. It's not letterbox, but from what I understand, it really doesn't matter that much with this flick. But it is Alan Parker's The Commitments, and this really should have been in my collection a long time ago. I don't know why it isn't or hasn't been, but it is now. So there we go. The Commitments. Sadly, not letterboxed. Man, horror is always so disappointing on Laserdisc. It's a punch out, but yeah, it's got a lot of ring wear, but not too bad. Jeff Fahey in Body Parts. So interesting, this is based on a 60s Boileau Narcejac book. The gentleman who put together Diabolique and Vertigo, and based on a book called Choice Cuts, which I've never read. And it's that whole kind of retold to death tale of someone receiving body parts from a killer and them causing him to have homicidal ideation. This is if I remember correctly, a TNT made-for-TV version of the classic Joseph Conrad book, Heart of Darkness, with John Malkovich and Tim Roth, and Isaac DeMankelay is in there, I think, as well. And Nicholas Ray directed it. It's supposed to be atrocious, and despite the star power, behind and in front of the camera. It's supposed to be a hot mess, but I'm kind of excited about it. Then this was on my LD hit list for the longest time. I just never got around to pulling the trigger. Now it's been done for me. A film written by the Coen brothers and Sam Raimi. I mean, how are you going to complain about that? Hudsucker Proxy. The Hudsucker Proxy. And it's been a while since I've seen it. Really good, kind of throwback Howard Hawks style dialogue, really fast and peppy. And it's fun. This was sealed and it's gorgeous. Strangely, came out in 95, but it's like Image Entertainment, Hallmark Home Entertainment, art house film that's got an AC3 soundtrack. Like way early. Like if this came out in 97 or 98, I would understand it having AC3. But at the time this was released, AC3 was being used for True Lies and big things like that. So I'm really surprised it's on here. The Madness of King George. Nice looking shanty jacket, and always wanted to check it out, but I missed it in theaters. These old MCA home video Hitchcock releases always have blown out spines for some reason, and they just look kind of bleh, but other than that, the jacket's in really nice condition, and it's Hitchcock. 1984 is when they dropped this thing, but Rear Window, great flick, and eventually I'll get one of those box sets. That's the thing. There's so many. Every 3 days there's a new Hitchcock box set. So it's like I just kind of have option paralysis, And then I never buy any of them because I'm like, which is the best one to get? Like the one imported from Zavi, or do I get the DVD set that has the So it's just as long as they keep releasing Hitchcock box sets, I'll never know which one I should get, and I'll never get any of them. So that's my conundrum. I remember being actually surprisingly wooed by this film. It's a pretty fun flick from Michael Lehman called The Truth About Cats and Dogs. Ben Chaplin, Gene Garofalo, and Uma Thurman. Good stuff. And they didn't make Uma Thurman drive into a tree in that movie, so I'm sure she appreciated it. This is, I'm excited to check this out because it is a John Dahl film. And I believe this is the film he did before The Last Seduction, and it's got Dennis Hopper, Lara Flynn Boyle, and Nicolas Cage, Red Rock West. So I have Last Seduction on LD, and now I've got this one. So psyched to check that out. This was a much ballyhooed release when it came out in 93 or so, but I've never seen the entire thing. Now's my chance. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. 6 Degrees of Separation with Will Smith. I've seen pieces of it. It seemed pretty entertaining, but now I will check out the entire film. A lot of Twin Peaks actors rolling up in these LDs. This one's got Sherilyn Fenn, Kelly Lynch, and William Baldwin in 3 of Hearts. Never seen it. It's in decent shape, so I'll check it out. This is one of my guilty pleasures from back in the day. What year was this? 1990. I think there is a Blu-ray out there now, so I will have to get that. And this is sadly not letterboxed, but the packaging is really cool, so I might hold on to it anyways. But The First Power, notorious for having a killer who runs down a hallway with like a giant ceiling fan being wielded as a weapon, which is pretty much the coolest thing ever. So that's pretty much, the movie never recovers from that. But Lou Diamond Phillips is cool in it, and First Power, man, good stuff. Always wanted to check this out, never did, but the Mambo Kings, pretty decent shape, so in the collection it goes. And this is a Columbia release, but pressed by DADC Austria. Hooray! Thank you for not rotting. Never Talked to Strangers. Never seen it. But I'm guessing Antonio Banderas will be suitably menacing. He looks menacing on the cover there. So I will check that out. This, I'll probably have to do a spotlight on this. I never seen it. I saw the remake, obviously. as did many people, but I've heard horrible things about this, but I watched it, and I don't know, it's got a kind of cool vibe to it. Very, it's like half action movie, half like cable, like late night snoozer. It's like a, Red Shoe Diaries without any sex in it. A Man on Fire. Scott Glenn in there, Jonathan Pryce in there, Joe Pesci. It's got a pretty killer cast. But yeah, so if you've ever seen the Denzel Washington one, they're both based on the same series of novels featuring the character Creasy, but this one, Creasy is played by Scott Glenn. So yeah, I watched that one already, and it was pretty cool, no rot. Looking forward to checking this out. David Warner flick with Michael Ironside as well, and Kate Vernon, about a office worker gone homicidal, also known as Office Party, but hostile takeover. These old Image, I still hate the Image artwork. Both the original ones that had the VHS artwork over here, and then the disc a little bit bigger on this side, and then the one where they center the VHS artwork and have little disc parts sticking out on either side. Either way, they get the finger. But that said, there's still some cool releases they have on there. And a lot of people that are coming at Laserdisc from like a VHS collector standpoint, where you're looking for all these cool, like little obscure films and things that were originally shown on cable or whatever, you're going to land in the lap of Image. And sadly, Image pressed so much stuff that they pretty much relied on 3M, PDO UK, and Technodisc so hard to do all their pressing, and those were like the three kind of worst pressing companies. 3M was great at times, and Technodisc was okay at times as well too, but your chances of getting rot with Image discs are like astronomically high. So good luck with that, fledgling collector. This I'd never seen, the cover-up crisis conspiracy and cover-up behind the Korean airline tragedy. I don't know if this was a TV movie or what have you, but it's called Tailspin. No relation to the Disney cartoon, which is too bad, because Kit and Baloo would probably spice things up a little bit in these proceedings. This was one of the first discs I watched out of the set, because, this is right up my alley. It's an Australian documentary from the 80s called The Occult Experience, and kind of coming from the heart of the 80s satanic panic, this is a surprisingly even-handed documentary and not very hysterical at all. And it does feature lots of nudity, as it says some nudity here, but it's got lots of nudity, so have fun with that. But yeah, it's a really kind of cool documentary. It's got a good vibe to it, and it's got an interview with H.R. Giger in there as well, so hooray, and no rot. Looked fantastic. And this was one of the first discs I saw was in the lot, and I got excited. There was a recent Blu-ray, which apparently is really nice. But I've got the soundtrack, and I don't know, I just felt right to have the Laserdisc as well, of Miracle Mile. Build on the front, and there's this crazy, nuclear thriller, when in reality it's a quirky romance with kind of nuclear threat as a backdrop. But it's more like a wackier version of like Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, that sort of thing. But Mare Winningham and Anthony Edwards, and fun flick. Great Tangerine Dream score too. Sadly, there's a tiny bit of rot at the end of both sides. The interesting thing about 3M pressings, and I think most of my PDO UK pressings that are bad too, a lot of the rot's at the end of the disc, whereas DADC USA pressings, I usually have the rot at the beginning of the disc. So, yeah, I don't know. Different ways of manufacturing discs poorly, I guess. And I haven't checked this one, but yeah, it might be rotted. We'll see. Heathers. There is a later widescreen version, which I definitely want to pick up. But classic flick. Love it. And I don't believe there was a letterbox version of this released on LD. That said, this is the one I would want to get because it doesn't have that stupid silver bar up the side. Just killer artwork with my man JCVD, Bloodsport. So, yeah, that was a nice find. Pretty eclectic Well, I guess this wasn't really his collection. This was like his throwaway. So it was a pretty eclectic batch of discs. I had the Japanese version, but this is I forgot about when they did this widescreen thing too. The layout of the early '90s Disney home video stuff is interesting. But Arachnophobia, Frank Marshall flick. It's been a while since I've seen it. I actually have a prop spider from that my parents bought me. It's pretty terrifying. Nobody likes it, so it sits in a box. Never seen this. I'll have to check this out. Joshua Brand flick called A Pyromaniacs Love Story. Good cast. It's got John Leguizamo in it. Always like that. Yeah, you gotta check that out. Then Andy Garcia and Meg Ryan and Louis Bendoki's When a Man Loves a Woman. Never seen it. Pretty nice condition jacket. No gatefold, but I'll take it. Then, wow, yeah, I have not seen this in a while. Kathleen Turner and Dennis Quaid in Undercover Blues. Again, nice condition. I'll give it another spin. Who directed this? Herbert Ross. It's Letterboxd, though, so hooray. As is this David Frankel flick, Miami Rhapsody, with Sarah Jessica Parker in there. And another film I've never heard of. Barbara Hershey and Sam Shepard in Defenseless. Looks interesting. Oh, I hear some squishy elephant condom in there. Gonna have to get rid of that. But looks like a good thriller. Right, what else we got? Bruce Beresford film, which I have not seen. Written by Kiva Goldsman. Is it Letterboxd? Doesn't look like it's Letterboxd, but Silent Fall looks intriguing. Bam. And little controversial film, Victor Salva's mid-90s hit Powder in gorgeous condition. I never did see it in theaters. I know my wife liked it, so controversy be damned. We'll hold on to it. This was one of the first things I saw in the stack, and it was sealed, and I was super psyched because it's not an amazing flick or anything, but it's just a really cool release. It's got commentary track, etc. There's a DVD port of this, but I just wanted to have it on Laserdisc. Robert Rodriguez's Road Racers, which is a pretty obscure flick that he did for Showtime Network. It's not really great, throwback to the 50s car racing scene. But yeah, this is a gorgeous disc. Everything's in great shape. So I was pretty much psyched to have the lot for that. This I have on DVD, but not on Laserdisc, and I watched it last night. It's gorgeous. Tim Burton's Mars Attacks. It's a hot mess. So how do you make a movie out of a trading card series? You kind of make up a bunch of characters and hope they're interesting. And maybe a third of them are, but still fun. The Martians are fun. I've seen the bewildering image on the cover of this before. Todd Haynes did this film. Never seen it. Don't know much about it. But Julianne Moore in Safe. Again, brand new disc basically. So, nice stuff. I'll have to check if it's rotted. That's one of the few DADC ones I didn't check out. This is Letterboxd? No, but in brand new condition. Mikhail Baryshnikov and Gene Hackman in Company Business. So, check that out. And I showed this in the last video, but this is another copy that was sealed, which I'm totally keeping. It's got a bit of a corner ding, but Valkenvania, aka Nothing But Trouble. So I got a nice copy for my collection. I'll probably let the other one move along. Another brand new disc, Woody Allen's Interiors. Wow, it looks like a whole room full of depression on the cover there. Everyone looks so thrilled to be in this movie. So, hooray. Looks enthralling. Jack Gold film from a Graham Greene novel. Never seen it. Don't think it's letterboxd, but I don't even know if this was a theatrical release written for television. So, yeah, I'm cool with 1.33 to 1. The 10th Man with Anthony Hopkins. And there's an interesting black strip there covering something up. I kind of almost want to tear it off and see what it says underneath, but probably just says drink your Ovaltine. And got an even nicer copy of this release, which is gorgeous packaging. I like the whole kind of pink aspect of it. To Die For, which is kind of like a mixed film, but it's got David Cronenberg in it, so it wins for that alone. And another one that was still sealed, a Stephen Frears flick, which I've not seen, called The Snapper. Seems delightfully charming and witty. We shall find out. This was on my hit list for quite some time, and I got a brand new copy of it. Psyched to have Charles Burnett's The Glass Shield with Ice Cube and Lori Petty. Has been on my hit list for a while. And yeah, I'll take it in brand new condition. This one is maybe going out to Vincent, because I know he expressed interest in the remastered widescreen version of Luc Besson's La Famille Nikita. I promise I'll pronounce everything egregiously wrong now, so that people will have to correct me even harder on my foreign pronunciations. So, La Famille Nikita from Luc Besson, starring Gene Huggies Anglady. He's the man. And Anne Perriod. So, that's a thing. Got a, sadly not letterboxed, gorgeous sealed condition. Actually, no, this one was just still in the shrink, but still on the side. But nice issue of The Mission, which I wish it was a letterboxed, but I'll have to deal with this and probably move it along. And wow. This is an old, junky-looking transfer, HBO video, 1985. Wow, man. Nicholas Myers volunteers. There's some horrible artwork on there, too. Tom Hanks, John Candy look kind of messed up. But I've not seen that since seeing that cable a long time ago. Also, not letterboxed or anything, but Peter Weir's Green Card, Andy McDowell, and Gerard Depardieu. He's a guy. In a movie, don't you know? And this is also not letterboxed, because I don't think there was a letterboxed release of this. Gary Sherman's Poltergeist 3 was pretty much brand new, but the shrink started, it was one of those old Pioneer pressings, used this really, really like brittle cellophane that's, I don't know, it was just nasty, and it kind of almost sticks to the cover of the jacket if it's a glossy jacket, and when it shrinks, it really shrinks and takes its toll on edges and corners. But other than that, it's in like new condition. Also, this jacket is like new, so I might hold on to this. The Professional, another DADC USA pressing. It does have a little bit of wrap, not too bad. I checked it out. Totally watchable. Always fun and interesting. This has a sticker saying it's in 2.35 to 1. I always wonder what's under there. Did it erroneously say 1.85 to 1 at one point? I don't know. And I got a sealed copy of the kind of junky old Panascan version of Excalibur. I've got a nicer later reissue of that. But cool stuff. And I have a couple doubles, more sealed stuff. I'll have to check and see if this is rotted. But Batman Forever, Joel Schumacher Crap Fest, but it's going to look and sound great on Laserdisc. And another one I had already. This one would be perfect except for a corner ding from the shrink wrap. But another nice THX Dolby Digital release of The Rock, which someday I'll get the Criterion Collection version of this as well. So that's it for now. It's going to keep us up to date until the next batch of boxes come in. There's a box from Japan coming, and a bunch from Laserdisc Forever, Friends, and then some stuff from eBay as well. So stay tuned. I'll have more LDs coming. And in the meantime, I'll put up the new Laser Discotheque podcast and show you my new players and just go through all my players again too. So thanks for hanging out, everybody. Cheers.